Story 1. My name's Ryan, and until a few months ago, I worked the night shift at a Walmart in a small town you probably never heard of. I took the job out of desperation. I was behind on rent, scraping by on instant ramen, and drowning in overdue bills. When I saw a posting for an overnight stocking position, I jumped at it. It sounded easy. 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., stock shelves. Keep the place neat. Barely any customers since the store was open 24/7, but only got a trickle after midnight. I thought it would be quiet money. What I didn't realize was that Walmart at night isn't empty. Not really. The manager, a squat man named Greg, gave me a quick tour. Stay busy, stay quiet, don't cause problems. Cameras are everywhere, he said. I nodded, yawning. At first it was almost peaceful. The hum of the freezers and frozen foods, the smell of cardboard from unpacked shipments, the echo of my cartwheels on linoleum. Customers came and went, mostly truckers, insomniacs, or teenagers trying to look rebellious. But around 2 a.m., I noticed something strange. I was stocking paper towels when I heard footsteps behind me. Heavy, deliberate. I turned. No one was there. Probably Greg checking on me, I muttered, though the aisle was empty. The footsteps started again, moving just out of sight. That was the first time I felt it, the sense that Walmart wasn't a store at night. It was a maze, and I wasn't alone. By my third shift, I'd gotten used to the quiet. But then I saw her, a woman, long hair, pale skin, wearing a hospital gown. She was standing at the end of aisle 14, the home cleaning aisle, facing away from me. I thought maybe she was sick or homeless. Ma'am, do you need help? I asked. She didn't move. I stepped closer. We're closing this section for restocking. Can I? She turned her head slowly, too slowly, like her neck was grinding on rusted hinges. Her face, Jesus. No eyes, just smooth skin. I blinked and stumbled back. When I looked again, the aisle was empty. I told Greg. He just grunted. Ignore it. Happens sometimes. Happens sometimes? Walmart has fire exits at the back of every section. One night I tried using one for a smoke break. I pushed the bar, and instead of stepping outside into cool air, I found myself in another aisle of Walmart. I froze. Behind me, the door had vanished. Just endless shelves stretching into shadow. I walked forward, heart racing. The aisle twisted, bent in impossible ways. Cereal leading into shoes, then into electronics, then into toys. I swear I heard whispers coming from the shelves. Finally, after what felt like 20 minutes, I stumbled out into the normal store again, right back at aisle 14. The same aisle where the eyeless woman had been. The next night I confronted Greg. What the hell is this place? Something's wrong here. He just smirked. You think Walmart's just a store? No. These places are anchors between worlds. Too much space, too much light, too much emptiness. It pulls things in. Things like what? He shrugged. You've seen them. Just do your work. Don't wander. Don't talk to them. And whatever you do, don't answer the announcements after 3 a.m. That stuck with me. Why not the announcements? It was a week later when I first heard it. The PA system crackled. A voice spoke. Ryan, please come to aisle 7. We need you here. I froze. No one should have been calling my name. I grabbed my walkie. Greg, did you? Static. Ryan, we need you. Aisle 7. The voice was wrong. Too smooth, too calm, like someone trying to imitate human speech. I ignored it, stocking shelves with shaking hands. The announcement repeated every few minutes. By 3:45 a.m., it changed. If you don't come to aisle 7, we'll come to you. I dropped everything and ran to Greg's office. But Greg was gone. His office was empty, except for rows of old employee name tags nailed to the wall. Each one had a black slash across the photo. My stomach turned when I noticed the newest tag. It was mine. Black Friday is chaos in the daytime. At night, it's hell. That year, Walmart decided to keep us open all night before the sale. People packed in, clawing at unopened boxes, screaming at each other over TVs. But around 2:30 a.m., the crowd changed. I noticed a man with no mouth, just skin stretched tight. He grabbed at items he couldn't possibly use. Another woman had arms too long, dragging on the floor as she shoved things into her cart. They weren't human, but no one else seemed to notice. At 3 a.m., the lights flickered. For just a second, the whole store went dark. When they came back on, half the customers were gone, carts abandoned, shoes left behind. And the survivors didn't even blink. They just kept shopping. I made the mistake of following Greg one night. He disappeared behind the stockroom, into a door I'd never noticed. I slipped inside and found endless back rooms. Rows of old mannequins, broken carts, rotting Christmas displays, piles of expired food buzzing with flies. And between the junk things, crawling, watching. Some looked almost human, others didn't. I heard Greg speaking to them in whispers, promising them new workers, promising them me. That's when I ran. My last night there, the PA called again. "Ryan, it's time. Come to aisle 7. I tried to leave through the front doors. They wouldn't open. Customers pushed past me, their faces stretched and wrong, like melted wax. I ran for the fire exit. It led back into Walmart again. The aisles folded around me, no matter where I went. Every turn led me deeper. The announcements grew louder. "Ryan, Ryan, Ryan." Finally, I reached aisle 7. The eyeless woman was waiting. Behind her, Greg. He was smiling. "You lasted longer than most," he said, "but nobody leaves." The shelves closed in. The lights went out. I'm writing this from a motel 3 states away. I don't know how I got out. One moment I was surrounded, the next I was outside in the parking lot, the morning sun blinding me. But I can still hear the announcements sometimes, in static, in white noise, even in my own dreams. And last night I found something slipped under my door. An employee name tag, mine, with a black slash across it, Ace, Story 2. I never believed in ghost stories, or at least I told myself I didn't. Working nights at Walmart tends to wear that kind of skepticism thin. You see things, you hear things. Sometimes it's just the building settling, the refrigeration units humming, or the vents sighing like tired lungs. But when it's 2:30 in the morning and the aisles stretch out like endless tunnels of silence, every little sound has weight. Until I had been working as an overnight stalker for 3 months. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid better than most things in my small town. The store was huge, one of those 24-hour supercenters with too much square footage for its own good. That night I clocked in at 10 p.m., yawning as I tossed my hoodie into my locker. Most of the other guys were half dead already, chugging energy drinks like water. Everyone had their section, and mine was aisles 20 through 26. Toys, seasonal, and part of the grocery spillover. What I didn't know then was that aisle 23 would change everything. Nobody liked stocking aisle 23. It wasn't cursed exactly, not in any official sense, but ask anyone and they'd tell you they hated it. It was the toy aisle. By day, it was full of screaming kids tearing dolls from shelves and begging their exhausted parents. By night, it was quiet, but never peaceful. You'd find toys scattered in odd places. Dolls would be propped upright even when you swore you'd left them lying flat. RC cars had a way of turning up in the middle of the floor. More than once, I'd heard the faint chime of a music box or the tinny laugh of a motion sensor doll when no one else was around. The managers brushed it off. "Faulty wiring," they said. "Toys go off sometimes." Still, the other stalkers always found reasons to trade away aisle 23, and me, being the new guy, usually got stuck with it. That night, I wheeled my pallet down the slick, polished floor, trying not to think about the way the fluorescent lights above me seemed to flicker. My box cutter sliced through cardboard. Out came Barbies, Hot Wheels, Nerf guns, Legos, normal stuff. Except, at the bottom of one of the boxes was a doll I'd never seen before. She was porcelain, not plastic, and old-fashioned. The kind of thing you'd expect in an antique shop, not Walmart. Pale skin, painted red lips, glassy green eyes. Her dress was dark blue velvet, trimmed with lace. There was no barcode, no Walmart tag, nothing. I set her aside. Must have been a mistake, I muttered. But when I turned back to the pallet, she wasn't where I'd left her. My stomach dropped. I glanced left, right, and there she was, standing neatly in the middle of the aisle, facing me. I froze. The store was empty. I hadn't seen anyone come near me. No one could have moved her. "Okay," I whispered. "Not funny." I picked her up and shoved her back on the shelf, wedging her between two boxes of Barbies. Then I forced myself to keep working. Every time I glanced up, I swore her eyes were following me. At midnight, the intercom crackled overhead. But instead of the usual manager announcements, I heard a child's voice. "Come play in aisle 23. I froze mid-step. The voice was high-pitched, sing-song. Definitely not one of the managers. I waited, my skin crawling. Nothing followed. Just silence, broken by the steady hum of the lights. I grabbed my pallet jack and pushed it fast toward the break room. My buddy Miguel was sitting there, scrolling on his phone. "You hear that?" I asked. "Hear what?" He didn't even look up. "The intercom. Just now. Sounded like a kid." He shook his head. "Dude, you've been in toys too long? That aisle messes with people." By 2 a.m., I was almost done stocking. The store felt heavier somehow, the air thicker. I turned down aisle 23 for the last of the boxes and stopped dead. Every single doll on the shelves, Barbies, baby dolls, knockoff brands, was facing forward, perfectly aligned, perfectly staring. The porcelain doll sat right in the middle, her green eyes locked on me. "Hell no," I muttered. I spun on my heel, cart rattling behind me. But when I reached the end of the aisle, the metal gate that separated toys from seasonal was pulled down, locked. That gate was never down during night shift. My chest tightened. I tried the other end of the aisle. Same thing. The gates had closed me in. Then I heard it. A soft pitter-patter, like bare feet running across tile. "Who's there?" My voice cracked. Laughter answered me, high-pitched, childlike, but not normal. It echoed too slow and too sharp, as if multiple voices were tangled together. The dolls shifted. I swear I saw them tilt their heads in unison. And then the porcelain doll lifted her arm. Not much, just a twitch, but enough to make me stumble back. "Play with us," the voice sang. Except it wasn't the intercom this time. It was all around me. The overhead lights buzzed and went out. Darkness swallowed aisle 23. I don't know how long I stood there, gripping my box cutter like it would save me. Something moved in the dark, quick, darting shapes too small to be people, too fast to be anything human. Dolls scraping against shelves, the porcelain one whispering words I didn't understand. I bolted. My shoulders slammed into the gate. Pain shot through me, but adrenaline kept me going. I yanked, pulled, slammed again. Finally, it gave way with a shriek of metal. I tumbled out into the next aisle, gasping. The lights flickered back on. When I dared to look behind me, aisle 23 was perfectly normal. Shelves stocked, dolls sitting harmlessly. Except the porcelain one was gone. I quit the next morning, walked straight out after my shift, didn't even pick up my paycheck. I figured that was the end of it. Until last week when I went to a different Walmart across town. I was walking past the toy section when something caught my eye. A porcelain doll, blue velvet dress, green glass eyes. She was sitting there on the shelf, staring right at me. Story 3. I never thought I'd be the type of person to believe in things like ghosts or curses. But after the past 3 months, I don't think I have any choice. My name's Ryan, and I work the night shift at the Walmart on the outskirts of my small town, a place so isolated that the nearest streetlights ended half a mile before the parking lot. I took the job out of necessity, bills piling up, rent overdue, and nothing else coming my way. The posting had been simple. Overnight stalker, 10 p.m., 6 a.m. easy work, quiet store, minimal supervision. It sounded like a dream for someone like me. What I didn't realize was that quiet and empty are entirely different things, and Walmart at night is far from empty. The first night I arrived in my beat-up Corolla, parking under one of the dim, flickering lot lamps. I remember looking at the building and feeling the kind of unease that doesn't have a name. That prickling awareness that something isn't right. Inside, the fluorescent lights hummed with a persistent low vibration that seemed to carry through the floors and into my chest. The store smelled of bleach, plastic, and something else, like dust and decay mixed together. The manager, Rick, briefed me quickly and disappeared into his office. Other employees shuffled past, half awake, half dead, wearing expressions that made me think they'd long since accepted that something about working nights at this Walmart was off. I was assigned the aisles 20 through 26, primarily toys, seasonal items, and part of the overflow grocery section. It was supposed to be easy work, stock shelves, full boxes, wheel pallets, but almost immediately I sensed something lurking. It started with small things, dolls that weren't where I'd left them. A box of Barbies that I was certain had been lying on its side, suddenly standing upright. Small whispers in the distance, so faint I thought I might be imagining them. Footsteps behind me, but when I turned, the aisles were empty. It was unnerving, but not yet terrifying. Then came the first customer. I was in the toy aisle when I noticed her, a woman in a gray hoodie, face obscured by the hood. She walked slowly down the aisle, not looking at anything in particular. "Excuse me?" I called, my voice catching. "The store's closed. Can I help you?" She didn't respond. She just tilted her head unnaturally, as if inspecting something invisible to me. And when I blinked, she was gone. I spun around, half expecting her to reappear. Nobody. I chalked it up to nerves. But the stories from my co-workers started to creep into my mind. Karen, a woman who had been on the night shift for years, leaned toward me one night as I stacked board games. "The after-midnight shoppers," she whispered. "Don't talk to them. Don't look too long. Just keep working." I laughed nervously, but my stomach nodded. I was beginning to realize that Walmart was not the quiet, mundane store I'd imagined. There was something about the building at night, something that drew your attention in ways that weren't natural. The anomalies escalated. One night in electronics, all the flat-screen TVs flickered on at once. Static filled the screens, and for a brief, terrifying instant, I saw my own face staring back at me, mouth open, eyes hollow. When the lights returned to normal, the screens were dark, as if nothing had happened. In clothing, mannequins moved. Just slightly subtle shifts, heads turning, arms tilting. I looked away and back, and the poses had changed again. Whispers echoed through the empty aisles. Sometimes I heard my name. Sometimes laughter that didn't belong to any human throat. By the third week, I had learned the layout intimately, or so I thought. Aisle 23, the toy aisle, seemed alive. Dolls would shift when I wasn't looking. Items misplaced themselves. Boxes moving just a few inches at a time. And then the announcement started. At 2:30 a.m., a child's voice crackled through the PA system. "Come play in aisle 23. It wasn't pre-recorded. It wasn't part of the store system. It sounded alive, sing-song, a taunting whisper that made my blood run cold. I ran to the break room, hoping for Miguel or someone else awake. He was scrolling on his phone, oblivious. "Did you hear that?" I asked, breathless. He didn't look up. "Hear what?" he replied. "The intercom. It's calling my name." Miguel shrugged. "You've been in the toy aisle too long. That place messes with your head." I started staying away from aisle 23, but it was impossible to ignore. The dolls, especially one porcelain doll I found tucked at the bottom of a shipment box, were too disturbing to be ignored. She had pale skin, green glass eyes, a blue velvet dress trimmed with lace. I set her aside, but when I looked back, she was standing on the shelf, staring at me. My heart hammered. I shoved her back in the box. She was gone a second later. The incidents became daily. Whispers, shadows moving along the edges of my vision. Dolls turning to watch me. I began noticing the same hooded figure, The faceless woman drifting silently past aisles when I wasn't looking directly at her. And the announcements became personal. Ryan, come to aisle 23. Ryan, we're waiting. I tried ignoring them, but by 3 a.m., the voice changed. It was a chorus of whispers layered together, overlapping. Play with us. Ryan, don't leave. Come. The hairs on the back of my neck stood straight, my palms slick with sweat. One night I made a mistake. I followed the sound. Aisle 23 had changed. The layout wasn't the same. Shelves twisted unnaturally. The floor tiles stretched and contracted like breathing skin. The toys on the shelves weren't toys anymore. They were grotesque approximations of humans. Barbie dolls with elongated limbs, stuffed animals with too many eyes, action figures, frozen mid-scream. I wanted to run, but I was trapped. The aisle seemed to stretch endlessly. Behind me, a faint laughter echoed, growing louder and closer. And then I saw her, the porcelain doll, walking toward me. She didn't run. She glided impossibly fast, green eyes locked on me. I ran, turning corners that led me nowhere. Each aisle folded back on itself, doubling, twisting, as if the store had grown larger while I wasn't looking. The overhead lights flickered and went out, plunging me into a black so dense I could barely see my hands in front of me. The whispers surrounded me now, chanting my name. The otherworldly figures emerged. Hooded figures, faceless people, dolls that moved on their own. They surrounded me, closing in. I screamed. The store seemed to inhale, the shelves pressing closer, the fluorescent hum warping into a high-pitched scream. My legs gave out. I felt cold hands brush against my shoulders. One of the hooded figures leaned close, whispering in a voice that was mine, but wrong. Stay. Play with us. I don't remember much after that. I woke up outside the building, the morning sun in my eyes, stomach twisted, hands scraped from the linoleum. My box cutter and vest were gone. The store looked normal, empty of any unusual figures. Shoppers were arriving for morning hours. Employees chatting in the parking lot. Nothing amiss. But something in me had changed. I could still hear the whispers in the back of my mind, faint but persistent. I quit that day, walking straight out without turning back. I never went inside another Walmart at night. But sometimes I dream about the store, the aisles stretching endlessly, the toys moving, the whispering, and that porcelain doll smiling as she advances. Last week, I drove past another Walmart in a neighboring town. The lights inside flickered. I saw a figure in a gray hoodie standing near the toy aisle. I slammed on the brakes, heart pounding. When I looked again, it was gone. I don't know what I escaped from. I don't know what still follows me. But I do know this. Walmart at night is alive, and it remembers you. Even now, I hear it calling my name when I close my eyes at night. And I know I'm never truly safe.